Hi guys, my channel is called Spirit Phantom Wolf Fox, but you can just call me Isa. I collected all the loot I got from the dungeon and put it in my house, which I finished building off camera. This is not the second chapter with NCIS, Hawaiian 5.0, and Twilight. That is going to be for maybe a later video. I'm still working on it. This is another fanfiction I wrote with the originals and Twilight. Again, I do not own the characters, they belong to their own creators. I'm using a speech-to-text app since it's hard for me to talk for long periods of time. But I hope you guys enjoy this video.
Bella's POV. When Edward and his family left Forks, I was so happy I cooked a whole meal for me and Charlie. When I was cleaning up the house one day, I found my gifts and pictures of them. I decided to go to a pawn shop and sell my birthday gifts to get some cash, and I burned all of my pictures of them. I never really liked Edward Cullen. He pretty much stalked me and forced me into a relationship, same with his sister Alice, who says she can see me. But I know she can't, since I'm a very unique supernatural creature. I also had to wear a necklace I created to hide my scent and to make me smell human. My name isn't really Isabella Maria Swan. Charlie is a friend of my adopted father, Marcel Gerard. Marcel helped my mother, who was from the Crescent Wolf Pack. My mother's older brother decided to try to kill her because she was pregnant with me. He thought if I was born, I would challenge my cousin for the leadership to his pack. So my mother ran for her life. One day she bumped into Marcel and he could see the werewolves behind her and offered my mother his protection. She agreed to his offer. Marcel and my mother became close and like family to each other. She explained who my biological father was, Isaac, who was a shapeshifter werewolf and a very powerful warlock. Marcel protected my mother and made sure her pregnancy went as smoothly as possible. When my mother's due date was about to happen, some witches tried to kidnap her. I was born on a blue moon during a lunar eclipse, which was apparently very rare. They tried to kidnap me and sacrifice me to their ancestors. Marcel made sure none of the witches or werewolves got near my mother or me. She was so thankful to Marcel. She made him my godfather. I lived happily with my mother until one night when Marcel decided to throw a party. I was about 5 at the time and hanging out with my mum. There was a witch who convinced a vampire to help her kidnap me. They were able to sneak past all the vampires in the party and made their way to me and my mum. My mum immediately got up and protected me, but she was killed in the process. I was so scared my powers reacted to my emotions and they went flying off the balcony and they died immediately. That is when I triggered my werewolf curse. Marcel immediately ran up to me and hugged me because I was crying and sobbing. He knew I triggered my werewolf curse and he felt so guilty. The day leading up to my mother's funeral, me and Marcel agreed to cremate my mum. We spread her ashes in the bayou and Marcel gave me a necklace that had some of her ashes in it. I thanked him for the necklace. Ever since that day, Marcel made sure someone was always with me. It was mostly Thierry, his best friend. I was bored one day and started to look through all the rooms. When I stopped and looked closely in one of the rooms, I saw a beautiful painting and walked up to it. I was staring at it quite longingly, and I was surprised when someone picked me up. When I looked at the person who picked me up, it was Marcel. He started to explain the painting was made by Klaus Mikkelsen. So he started to tell me about all the Mikkelsens. Klaus gave him his blood and turned him into a vampire long ago. Elijah, who was the noble of them all and always kept his word, and Rebecca, who was quite beautiful, and witty Cole, who was quite blood-thirsty and childish. Then Marcel started to explain his biggest regret to me. Apparently, him and Rebecca planned on stabbing Klaus in his back. They contacted her father Mikhail to scare Klaus off, but it backfired horribly. So I bluntly told him what I thought about that. So you decided to stab someone who saw potential in you when your own birth father did not. He took you and treated you like his own flesh and blood, like a son and friend. Was it really worth destroying the family you created with them just to be with this Rebecca girl? How long do you think it would have lasted between the two of you? She decided to stab her own brother in his back, and she could have done the same thing to you. I could see Marcel looking at me quite intently. He took a deep breath and sighed out loud and said, "Damn Bella, you are blunt as hell and have an old soul as well, but you were right. I could have gone about a different way, and now I think about it, you're also right about Rebecca." I was happy when he decided to take my advice. Again, I was 5 at the time, and when days passed, Marcel surprised me with some art supplies. I loved it very much and started to draw and paint every single day. One day I was drawing in Marcel's office. I was about 9 at the time. I saw a box on his shelf and quickly walked to it and picked it up. When I turned around, I saw Marcel in the doorway. I looked at him embarrassed, feeling like I touched something I shouldn't have. He just chuckled and started to walk towards me and grabbed the box from my hands. He opened it up, and it was a leather necklace with a small bird pendant on the end of it. He spoke up, this used to belong to Klaus when he used to be human. I held out my hands patiently to see if Marcel would let me hold it. He eventually did, but when he put it in my palms, I saw this person's whole entire human life. It was quite sad and terrifying. I quickly dropped the pendant and Marcel could see me crying, so I explained what I saw. Marcel looks shocked and quickly grabbed me and hugged me. He holds me tightly and I hold him tightly as well. He picks me up and starts to walk to the door, but what I whisper in his ear makes him stop. If one of the original vampires die, their whole entire bloodline dies. Marcel pulls back and says, Bella, how do you know that? I don't know how to explain it, Marcel. When I was holding the necklace, something whispered it in my ear. He just nodded his head in confirmation and decided to take me out today to get some ice cream to cheer me up. Since that day, I've been making sure I practice my magic. I created a necklace to keep my scent smelling human because I was gonna move to Forks to finish the rest of my school year. It was Marcel's idea. He has a warlock friend named Charlie who lives in Forks. I was quite hesitant to move to Forks, but the witches have become a lot more bolder these past few weeks, so Marcel just wanted to make sure I'd be safe. Since I've left New Orleans, my home as long as I've known it, me and Marcel always make sure we talk every single day. Marcel knows about the Cullens. I started to tell him what they were. Cold ones, lowest species of traditional vampires, a witch apparently tried to copy the spell that the original witch did, but it backfired and made them instead. I told him that Edward pretty much forced me to be his girlfriend. I didn't really want to be in a relationship with him, and he knows that Edward kept breaking into my house and watching me sleep. I also explained to him Charlie was keeping a low profile here and the Cullens cannot find out me and Charlie have magic. When he found out from Charlie, I was in the hospital in Phoenix. He immediately told Charlie to ground me, and I thanked the both of them. I explained on the phone to Marcel that there was a vampire named James chasing after me because the Cullens decide to play baseball and invite me. I told him I did not want to go and I was gonna hang out with Charlie today, but they pretty much forced me. I also explained that James bit me and Edward started to suck the venom out of my system, but he kept drinking and I almost passed out from blood loss. If Carlisle wasn't there, I think Edward would have killed me. Since that day happened, Charlie and Marcel became more protective. I really didn't care about that, and I explained when the dance was coming up to Edward, I was not allowed to go because I was still grounded. Edward tried to dazzle Charlie, but instead he pissed him off and Charlie quickly got his shotgun and pointed at Edward's face. I was pretending to be on my phone, but I was recording it all and then I sent it to Marcel. He gave me a thumbs up and a laughing emoji. I started to hang out more with Angela because she was generally nice and kind, which I really liked in a friend, and I was blunt with her and honest with her as well. One day me and Charlie decided to go have some dinner at Billy's house. Jacob was out with his friends, Embry and Cool. Billy could see I was quite exhausted and looked at my arm and started to lecture me. I told you to stay away from the Cullen boy and now look what it's got you. Charlie just looked at him bewildered. I got really angry quite fast and flashed my eyes at him. I could see Billy starting to roll back his wheelchair, so Charlie quickly explained what was actually going on, that Edward forced me into a relationship against my will and that I'm pretending to be human, which I'm not. Charlie explained to Billy what I am, a shapeshifter, werewolf and a witch. I could see that Billy didn't quite believe Charlie, so I quickly grabbed a pillow and ripped it open and did a spell to make all the feathers float in the air. Billy looked quite shocked at me, but started to apologize. But we could see a light bulb quickly go off in Billy's head. What he blurred out next made me groan internally. You're that little wolf that's been giving Sam, Jared, Paul a headache lately. I take a few deep breaths and then start to explain to Billy. I really don't have a choice when that happens, Billy. Since I killed 2 people who killed my mum, I triggered my werewolf curse, so I transform during every full moon. I am literally breaking my bones. Since I was 5 I was able to find a spell and a potion to numb the pain a bit, but it's still not fun. I could see Billy look at me with sympathy. After that me and Charlie said goodbye to Billy and started to head home. Someone was calling Charlie's house phone, so I answered it because I was home that day. When I picked the phone up, the other person on the other side of the line introduced himself as Sam Yulee. He was apparently calling to ask if him, Paul and Jared needs to keep an eye out for me when it's a full moon. I explained to him they don't have to keep an eye out for me since I'm not like ordinary werewolves. I actually am conscious when I'm in my wolf form. I also explained if they see a wolf similar to me to make sure they don't go near people because they are not in control of themselves and they are more like feral beasts. Sam thanked me for the information I gave him, then he hung up and I put the phone back. Sam decided to call me one more time back and asked me if I would like to hear their legends. I agreed and Sam Sam gave me directions to his house. I was driving down to La Push that day and got to meet the other two people in the pack. I also met his fiancée Emily. I could tell that she was shy and ashamed of the scars on her face, but I didn't treat her any different, so Emily asked me why I wasn't treating her like a freak. So I explained that my mother had scars on her body and one on her face. I told her my mother looked as beautiful as I remember her and she looks just as beautiful as she is right now, and I told her what my mum told me, that if you have scars on your body, you wear them proudly because it shows people that you're a survivor. She started to cry and I hugged her. Sam came over to ask what was going on, but Emily ran into his chest. She told him keep her number always. She's my new best friend. Sam just looked at me and asked what I said, so I quickly told him that she was beautiful as she is and what my mum told me, that if you have scars wear them proudly because it shows that you're a survivor. He looked quite shocked, but thanked me for what I said. I got along with Paul and Jared. Paul was quickly becoming like my best friend and Jared was like a crazy older brother. When the elders arrived and started to tell their legends to me, I was quite fascinated by them, but when they started to explain cold ones to me, I snorted out loud and all of them quickly looked at me. So I explained that cold ones were a failed spell that a witch tried to copy from the original witch, who created the first traditional vampires. All vampires come from them, and the older the vampire is, the stronger that they are. They can compel a human to forget if they ever fed on them. They will burn in the sun unless they have a necklace or ring spelled for them by a witch that lets them walk in the sun. A wooden stake in the heart will also kill them, and they look like pretty much normal humans until they show their face. Also, if you don't want to be compelled by them, you need to drink vervain, and they can't come into your house unless you invite them. When I finished explaining, all of them looked horrified. The first person to speak up was Paul. How do you know all of this information, Bella? So I explained who my godfather is, Marcel Jared, who is a traditional vampire. He is the reason why I'm still alive. He helped my mother out when her own pack tried to kill her because her brother wanted me dead because he thought I would challenge my own cousin for the title of Alpha to rule the pack. And the witches tried to take her as well to kill me, to sacrifice my magic to their elders. And when I triggered my werewolf curse because a vampire and witch were able to get in and I saw my mother die, and my magic went out of control, I could see all of them look at me with sorrow and pity in their eyes. Emily walked up to me and hugged me quite tightly. I hugged her back and quickly showed my necklace to her, explaining this was made for me by Marcel, that has some of my mother's ashes, so she's always with me. Sam walked towards me and Emily's direction and quickly grabbed Emily in a hug and was holding her tight. He looked at me and said, Bella, if you ever need our help, you're always welcome on the reservation. I gave all of them the biggest grin I could, saying thank you for trusting me with your legends and thank you, Sam, for your offer. I quickly said goodbye to everyone and hopped in my truck to go drive home. I could see Alice and Edward were not too happy when I started to hang out with the pack. The two of them thought I didn't know that they were giant wolves, so they tried to slightly belittle them in a sarcastic way. But when I defended them every single time, I could see Edward was getting irritated. He thought I was a submissive little girl, but little did you know, if my friends or family were insulted or hurt, I became a raging bitch. Every single time I defended my friends and family to Edward, I could see he started to lose his control, so I told Charlie to have a fake birthday party for me and let it slip to Carlisle because I had a hunch they would make my true birthday an absolute hell. So Charlie did what I asked him to do the next day. Alice walked up to me and handed me a birthday gift and said, "Happy birthday, Bella." I just grinned and had irritated emotions coming off of me. I felt bad for Jasper when I did that because he quickly grabbed Alice and walked away. Apparently they had a birthday celebration for me at their house. I wish my classes would have been longer today, but they were for some reason short. Edward quickly drove me home and handed me a box and told me to wear the dress inside of it, so I quickly ran up to the bathroom and changed. When I finished putting on the dress, I absolutely hated it, so I quickly exit the bathroom and walk downstairs and out of the house to make sure I lock it up. I walked to Edward's car and hop inside. Edward quickly drove us to his family's house. When he parked the car, I could hear Alice giggling and saying I would absolutely love this party. I sucked it up and endured the whole entire time, but when my birthday gifts come around, I accidentally cut myself on some paper and then everyone decides to attack me, but what made it worse was Edward throwing me behind him and I get a giant cut on my arm. I feel more bad for Jasper because he's getting everyone's bloodlust. Carlisle quickly grabbed me and bandaged my arm up and I could see a painting, so I asked about it. Apparently those are the three kings of the Cold One vampires. They keep their kind in check. I just rolled my eyes and Edward quickly came up, kissed me on my forehead and drove me home. When I arrived home, Charlie could see I was in a crappy mood, so I told him what happened. At this point, I just wanted to kill Alice and Edward. Charlie decided to take me out for dinner to cheer me up. which worked. The days after my supposed birthday were quiet, which unnerved me. When I was driving home from school one day, I could see Edward outside my house, so I quickly got out and asked him what was up, so he asked me to follow him. I nodded my head in agreement and started to follow him deeper and deeper in the woods. But what he said next made me happy. Bellamy and my family are leaving Forks. I had to pretend to still be human, so I asked him, so when are we leaving? I would have to tell Charlie, but he interrupted me. No, Bella, just me and my family. I wasn't really interested in you. You were just a plaything, a pet to me. I never really loved you. That started to irritate me, but I had still keep my act up. I started to cry and beg him not to leave me. Then the asshole decided to do one more thing that pissed me off. He kissed me on the forehead and said, "Goodbye Bella, stay safe and don't do anything reckless for Charlie's sake." Then he ran off. I started to walk back to Charlie's house, but something felt different. I was a lot more angrier than I usually am. I could see one of the wolves from the corner of my eye, but I was really angry and couldn't concentrate on anything, and apparently I wasn't on my 2 legs anymore. I was on 2 giant paws, not gonna lie. I started to freak out, and then I could see Paul, Jared and Sam. Paul quickly went up to me and nuzzled my face in my wolf form. Jared did the same, and Sam did it next. Then I could hear them in my head. They quickly explained, "It's the pack mind because they see me as pack." They explained how to shift back, and I told them I'm not gonna be shifting back right now, because when they told me how to shift back I would be buck naked, and all of them realized that, so one of them ran back to La Push and quickly grabbed some clothes for me. All of us were behind Charlie's house, still far enough that no one saw us, so the 3 of them quickly shifted back into their human form, and put on some pants and ran inside the house to explain what was going on with me. I was able to calm down my thoughts and think about the good times with Marcel and the other vampires. Then I could feel myself shifting back into my human form. I was absolutely buck naked, so I quickly put my clothes on that they gave me and ran inside the house. When the 4 of them turned to look at me, all them looked shocked for some reason, so I ran upstairs to my full-length mirror and looked at my body. I looked a lot different from what I was. I had a bigger chest and an hourglass figure, and I had a big butt as well, and when I lifted up the shirt, I was pretty toned as well. I was so lost in my thoughts checking out my new body. I didn't hear anyone coming upstairs. Then I heard someone clear their throat, and I looked at my doorway and I could see Charlie. He explained he sent the boys away and told them he could handle the rest for right now. I thanked him and told him I would be calling Marcel right now. He nodded his head in my direction and started to walk back downstairs. I quickly grabbed my phone and called Marcel up. He quickly answered and said, "Hey Bella, what's up?" So I quickly explained what happened a few days ago, my fake birthday, and I just shifted and my body changed. He was silent on the other line but soon spoke up. "Well, at least I'm coming to see you on your true birthday, but nice idea for having a fake birthday." We talked a while after that and he was able to calm me down. When the 2 of us finished talking, we both said goodbye and hung up our phones. When I realized I'm gonna be needing new clothes, I went downstairs and grabbed some garbage bags and started to put all the clothes that did not fit me anymore in them so I could give them to the reservation, including the ones that Alice gave me. I was able to find some jeans and a t-shirt and sweater that still fit because none of my bras or undergarments fit me. When I finished doing that, I quickly looked at the time and it was still early that I could go shopping, so I quickly walked downstairs telling Charlie I'm going shopping for new clothes. He told me okay, and I quickly hopped in my truck and drove to the mall. Marcel gave me his card before I left New Orleans. I went to Hot Topic, Forever 21 and Calvin Klein. Then I went to Victoria's Secret to get a lot of new undergarments and bras. I spent a lot of money, but I got clothes I liked, and when I was finished, I put them all in my truck and drove back home. Charlie saw all of my purchases and looked up at me. I just rolled my shoulders and said I needed new clothes since my body magically changed, I say sarcastically. Charlie chuckled at that and said, "Marcel's gonna have a hard time keeping all the boys away from you." I just rolled my eyes and quickly put all of my clothes away.
Hi guys, I just wanted to see how far I could go into that dungeon, this video. I hope you enjoyed this video with the originals and Twilight. Again, I'm still working on the other one with NCIS, Hawaiian 5.0, and Twilight as well. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you guys want me to do one-shots of other videos, please leave them in the comments below. But I hope I get to see you guys next time, and see you guys later. Bye!